Our home is in the southeast corner of North Carolina, on the North Carolina coastal marsh, which abuts the intracoastal waterway. Because we live on the coastal marsh, and because our backyard is naturally wooded, we have many species of birds that reside in or around our property. The bird which we see and hear so often is known as the Carolina Wren, a subspecies of the House Wren. The Carolina Wren is a very interesting bird in that it would build its nest almost anywhere, be it a bicycle helmet in the garage, be it a mailbox, and in this case, a fountain which hangs on a wall right outside our front door. What you're seeing now is the female sitting on the nest, and it then immediately changes to a couple of the birds which have already hatched from her eggs. I believe that the open mouth or beak that you see is the first hatchling that came from the 4 eggs or 5 eggs that were in the nest. I would try to attract the attention of the hatchlings by making sounds, and when I did that, you can see 2 of them open their mouths, although their eyes were still closed. I believe that the bird sounds that you're now hearing in the background is the female warning to the hatchlings, but they obviously don't understand it yet. Incidentally, the Carolina Wren, as diminutive as it is, being one of the smallest birds on our marsh, has one of the most beautiful sounding song when it is not warning its hatchlings. I know that it sounds silly, but those sounds which I make would cause the birds to open their mouth. I think they were believing that they were about to be fed, and they were looking for a worm or whatever else it is that the mother or father feed the young hatchlings. For the most part, she feeds them grubs, which she gets by scratching the surface of the front lawn. At first we thought there were only 3 hatchlings, but as the days grew longer, we began to realize that there were definitely 4 and possibly a 5th egg which had never hatched. While they would initially react to the sounds that I would make, after a while, apparently they took heed of the warnings of their mother, and I could never get them to react, no matter what sound I would make. What they were waiting for was their mother to be fed. As they continued to mature from day to day, we could see more and more feathers growing on their small bodies. At some point, I couldn't figure out how they could even fit in that very tiny nest. Whenever I would get close to them with my video camera on a tripod so I can get up high enough to see them, either the female or the male would sit on the tree at the front of our lawn, whistling its song or perhaps its warning signal to the hatchlings in the nest. In the case of the Carolina Wren, it is very difficult to distinguish a male wren from the female wren. So we never knew whether it was the male or female which was sending out the warning to the hatchlings. But by now, they had sufficiently matured that they did not, for the most part, react to my signals. Judging from the size of their feathers, we presumed that it would not be long before the young birds would leave the nest, because my readings indicate that it is a relatively short period of time that it takes for the bird to mature and depart from the nest. There is a sad, or possibly not so sad, ending to this story. One evening, as we were going into town, we left through our front door and we saw a snake climbing up the wall toward the fountain, and we shooed it away. The next day, when we returned, I looked into the nest and the nest was empty. Whether they had flown away or whether the snake had gotten to them, to this day, I'm not sure what happened.